Well, Smiles from Black Film and TV. Lakeith, you got this role and you're playing William O'Neill, and we don't get to see these stories about that type of individual. How much research did you do to try to embody who he was?
As much as I could, which was not very much since there wasn't a lot of public information about him available. So I had to do a little bit digging, and I found an unedited version of the Eyes on the Prize interview, or the segment that they put in the Eyes on the Prize documentary, the interview segment that made it in there. I found the unedited version. It's a little over an hour long. So I had that, and I had some transcripts from court cases that he had been a part of, and some second and third account stories of people who had known him or known someone that knew him. And that was pretty much it. That and the interviews, pretty much what I had.
This you're not playing this one note character, and we see what happened after the fact that he continued to work with the FBI. Is there, in playing him, in working with Shaka, was there a point where you worked with him as far as how to make this guy two dimensional, where you could find a reason to what he did and go with it, or is it no?
Not really. I kind of just had to try and come to understand a little bit more about the guy, and just drop my initial biases of him just being as simple as a snitch. Try to find some more humanity to him, because that's the only way it would make sense for me to play him. Because just I think these maybe one-dimensional villain type characters that are just like spooky don't really make that much sense. You have to have some driving force. So I wanted to try and find that with Shaka.
Hmm. And within your own knowledge, we've known the name Fred Hampton, and depends on on your education and how much you learned in school and so forth. How much did you know going into it, and how much did you learn afterwards about Fred Hampton and the Black Panther?
I knew who Fred Hampton was. I knew who the Black Panther Party was. I watched his speeches in high school, and just became obviously enamored and taken with the energy and truth of what he was saying and how it spoke to me. And throughout this film, though, I learned some cool things. I learned a great deal about just the immense amount of work the Black Panthers did, and how they applied in a short amount of time practical things to these ideas that they had in order to bring about actual change in the world. And also how, for instance, Fred Hampton's mother used to babysit Emmett Till, which is crazy information I didn't know. And that was a big motivating force behind him and in the Black Panther Party, and him going as hard as he did is that the Emmett Till story, knowing that someone could be done like that that looks just like him. So he wanted to create change for the people.
When you do a film like this that's historical, and you got to put a lot of emotion into it, are you the type of actor or person that can walk away as you go on to your next project, or is there a little bit of this movie that stays with you?
Yeah, both. You're able to kind of relieve to be able to continue to move forward, but also some things linger.
Hmm. And then you're working with this, you because you're the one of the leads, you get to interact with a lot of people in this movie, and you're on a lot of pages. I was working along with Shaka King as your director in terms of navigating, you know, uh, your performance, because with in every scene you have to act as a character differently, whether it's with Jesse Plemons, whether it's with Daniel, whether it's it's like you're putting on a disguise in most of in most of your scenes.
Mhm. Yeah, it was. I'm grateful to have done it with Shaka, who's just such an open collaborator, and yeah, just really gives the artist a space to be free and take up the space. And he really is a great guidance person, because he just had just had the scope of the story so well understood. It made it easier.
Hmm. And then for a lot of people, it's Black History Month, and the timing's right for this movie to become for it to be seen, and it's going to play on HBO Max and probably in select theaters. You know, uh, what's the takeaway of why everybody should see this? Not just for people to see it because it's Black History Month, but what's the takeaway?
everyone should see it because it's history and it's human. Anybody looking at it as pure black obviously doesn't really understand that it's much more than that. Yeah, I mean, the takeaway is whatever the person takes away. I imagine people will be not only touched by Fred Hampton and his speeches and the Black Panther Party and what they really were about, which is not the terrorist propaganda, but they'll also be entertained. You know, there's a lot of action, and yeah, it's a film that kind of gives you a little bit of everything.
Mhm. Lakeith, it's always good talking to you. Obviously, you do well in in all your performances. So keep doing your thing. Obviously, I look forward to your next project.
Thank you, sir.